Reaching new flooding records on Lake Champlain. We're now 3 feet above the flood stage, and rain still in the forecast. Good evening, everyone. I'm Greg Navarro. We continue our SkyTracker team coverage tonight on this historic flooding event. Vermont has officially declared a state of emergency, and the flooding continues to get worse. Governor Peter Shumlin made that announcement today. That means he can now call in the Army National Guard to help with flood damage. After his announcement, the governor took a statewide helicopter tour to survey the damage. ABC 22's Louisa Moeller has the story. Louisa Moeller reporting. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo was sending officials to assess the damage caused by floodwaters. A handful of state and local leaders flew in a helicopter over Franklin County today. They gathered information to bring back to Albany, and although they had seen some of the damage before that, they got a full view from the air. Here's something to keep in mind. There must be more than $25 million in damages in order for the Empire State to get that federal money. At this point, officials say it's going to take several weeks just to be able to figure out just how much damage has been caused. Some pretty incredible pictures from around the region, and we could still see even more pictures like those as the lake continues to rise. Let's head over now to SkyTracker meteorologist Nick Johnston, who has been monitoring all of this for the last week and a half. Nick, what are we in for?
Well, Greg,
when those flood waters finally recede, homeowners will face a lot of damage. The problem, many of the people don't have flood insurance. ABC 22's Rachel Kent is here to explain why. Rachel?
Greg, local news.
It really is tough to get a sense of just how much Lake Champlain has risen since the flooding began, unless, of course, you live near it. If you don't, we found a pretty good way to show you. Hearing that the water level on Lake Champlain is now 103 feet high probably doesn't mean much.
The numbers kind of lie a little bit.
But the pictures don't, especially when we compare the same scene shot 7 days apart. Then you get a sense of how much the lake has moved inland.
It just seems like there's a lot more water.
Al Goby should know. When we talked to him last week, his waterfront restaurant Breakwaters had about 3 inches of water inside, and now
there's 3 feet of water inside there.
A week ago, Champ, in the left part of your screen, was just a little wet. Now he's swimming and threatening to go under. About a week ago, I stood next to the same woodpile here for a story we did on the dangers of going into the water at this time of the year. 7 days later, I'm in the same spot. The only major difference, I have to stand on this log because I'm surrounded by about 4 to 6 inches of water. In that same story, we showed you the Burlington Coast Guard station, which was slowly going under, but now it's become a part of the lake. You can see the difference just about everywhere, from Rouse's Point to a waterlogged section of Burlington's new north end.
I'm guessing up 4 or 5 inches from a week ago.
Along Plattsburgh's Margaret Street, parking lots were under last week, but many of the adjacent apartments were still dry. But now, that's only true if you live on the second floor.
Life's an adventure. Yeah, well, you either cry about it all the time or you try to get through it.
The scariest part of all, the lake is not finished rising yet and moving inland, but as it does, we will continue to be here to let you know the latest. To find out the latest, you can log on to our website, abc22.com, and click on the weather page. Well, we're not the only ones across the country dealing with major flooding. The Mississippi River is rising, forcing thousands of people from their homes from Illinois to Mississippi. Forecasters say some of the high water records set during the great floods of 1927 and 1937 could fall. And it's not just the river causing problems. Tributaries that flow into the Mississippi are all backed up. President Barack Obama signed declarations declaring a disaster in Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Emergency officials in all of those states have ordered people in a danger zone to head to higher ground. New details tonight on the Osama bin Laden kill mission. We're learning more about the man who inadvertently led U.S. intelligence to bin Laden. The courier, known as Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti, was killed at bin Laden's compound Sunday. Now, he's connected to the inner circle. Al-Kuwaiti is a name mentioned by a Guantanamo detainee. There's also evidence the courier was with bin Laden when he fled Afghanistan after September 11th. New documents from Guantanamo Bay shed more light on the composition and intelligence value of the earliest captures in the war on terror. Just days after the U.S. military killed bin Laden, the president made a trip to Ground Zero. It is the first time he's visited the site as president. On his way to the former World Trade Center site today, Mr. Obama stopped at a firehouse in Manhattan to meet with the first responders you see there. This firehouse lost 15 men in the 9/11 attacks.
This 10 years ago.
The president also laid a wreath at Ground Zero and paying tribute to the nearly 3,000 people who were killed in those attacks. Speaker of the House John Boehner is taking a pro-Pakistan stance. Now, it comes after some of his House Republican colleagues called to re-examine the U.S.-Pakistan relationship. Tensions, as you know, between the two countries are heightened after bin Laden was killed in Pakistan.
Our countries.
Some lawmakers have called for withdrawing U.S. troops from Pakistan. Boehner's support for Pakistan suggests funds for U.S. aid to the country will avoid being cut. A garage fire in Essex Junction, why firefighters say it could have been worse. Plus, Vermont state troopers will see more cash in their paychecks. The new deal next.